Hi, I'm Victor, the main organizer of the Full Stack Flutter conference. On this channel we publish the best talks from the conference every week throughout the year, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. I'm also the founder of ServerPod, so if you want to build your backend in Dart, make sure to check that out too. Victor Carreras is a seasoned app developer and CTO for mobile experiences at Capgemini in Spain. He will guide us through what it takes to get Flutter running on smartwatches. Let's dive in.
Welcome, my name is Victor Carreras. I am CTO of mobile at DCX in Capgemini, Spain. In my spare time, besides being a speaker, I'm a mentor at Flutter signed several years ago in the Liquid Galaxy project through the Google Summer of Code grants. And I also write periodically in a personal blog about mobile application development. Today, we are going to talk about smartwatch app development using Flutter. I hope you find it interesting and enjoy. Before to start talking how to implement an app for smartwatches, we have to know which kind of apps we can create. We can create a standalone app for smartwatches, which means they are self-contained. They have everything that they need to run the app independently without connect any other device or app. And we can create companion apps, which means they extend capabilities of other devices, for example, a mobile app. For example, think about the media player. The media player app is the best project, for example, that we can use to extend the companions. A companion app can control this other app extending their capabilities. For example, play a video or the media, stop it, go next, previews. So that means both kind of apps which can be done using this technology. Think about it because when we start to talk about how to implement something, we will see there is no as easy as it looks like if you need one or another. And keep this in mind as soon as possible after to start the development. At this point, we have to know how to test smartwatch apps. ADV gives us the capacity to create Wearables simulators with kind of layers and capabilities. So let's see how we can create them. We can go to Device Manager in Android Studio and create virtual device. Selecting Wearables, we can see different kind of layers with different resolutions and sizes. Now we select the squares, and as you can see, we can select different operating systems for them. Actually, I am downloading Wearables 4. When it finishes, we will be able to select Wearables 4, for example, in my case, and we can configure a lot of things, like, for example, startup orientation or the name that we use in the AVD. And also we can show advanced settings where we can modify advanced configuration like memory, storage, or things like that. In my case, I will select by default. And now I will have a new Wearables device where I can run my template app. because actually this Wearables Flutter app project, at the end, it is the template app because I didn't modify anything about it. If we run the wearable simulator, we will see new buttons. For example, we will see button 1 and button 2. Keep in mind, only some wearables physical devices will have 2 buttons, but the wearables simulator is ready to test any capacity or capability. Also, we can press buttons to trigger things like palm, tilt, or back. Look, for example, this is the smartwatch which has button 1 and button 2, but keep in mind again, only some of them will have it. But what about if we want to run this template app on the new Wear OS device? Well, if you select the new Wear OS device, because it will be ready to be selected in the list of supported devices, you will see there is no impediments to run. Why? Because Wear OS is based on Android. So it means any Flutter app can run on Wear OS where Android is supported. So if we wait for running Gradle task, we will see the same template app, but in this new layer. Also the functionalities, everything will be supported because at the end, as we said, it is completely ready. Wear OS automatically handles moving into low power mode for an active app when a user is no longer using their watch. This is called system ambient mode. That's why it is important that our designs are perfectly adapted to the styles of the environment. Otherwise, we would not be following a good development practices. So if we want to be able to detect the ambient mode, we will have to look for a dependency that allows us to do so. Because ambient mode will be like a dark mode, but in this case will be used for low power purposes. If we want to create actually, something that we have to know is where we are developing for Wear OS is there are different kind of layouts, because some of them are round, but other are square. And this is something that we have to keep in mind when we are developing, because we have to adapt our designs to see properly in all of them. Well, maybe you have now doubts about how you can detect if you are in this ambient mode or not. Well, let's to review together how we can do that. Inside of the Wear or Wear Plus dependency, we have this watch shape. This widget let us, with the builder, create this ambient mode with a new builder where we can detect the mode. And in this mode, this is an enum. Inside of the Wear mode can be active or ambient. In that case, you can send properly. In our case, we have a folder with the faces. We have active and ambient watch faces. And also we have the circle and square watch faces for the future. But now, with this code, we have this watch screen that will be called in the main Dart. And after that, we can select properly the active watch face or ambient watch face, depending the case of the watch mode. Okay. So now let's see how we can create a circle watch face widget or square watch face widget, depending if we are in one or another kind of smartwatch. So let's see this circle watch face. This is a center with a text. For that, we have to adapt a bit our code because we will don't need this ambient mode. Actually, what we have to switch between the shape, because this shape can be round. In that case, we will return this circle watch face. But if it is square, we will return this square watch face. And that's all. With only this, we can present properly this widget when we are in the circle one, but when we are running the same app but with in a new square watch, we will see how it looks like, because the difference between them is the square watch face hasn't got the center widget. So that's why you are presenting that's why you are presenting this on the top instead the circle one, which has everything in the middle. Why? Because in the square everything is a layout, but in the circle there is a bit of part of space which is not exactly in a visual layout part. That means you will start coding and presenting elements inside of the screen that they will not appear properly. And that's what I mean, because In the circle one, you don't have to put the elements directly on the top of the screen. You have to put them in the center one. Okay, we already seen how to create standalone apps using Flutter for Wear OS, and everything goes well. Also, if you want to create companion apps, because at the end, don't forget what we said before, Wear OS is based on Android, so everything will be supported and everything works well. But if we think about what about Apple Watch? Watch OS is the operative system for watches on Apple devices. And we have to say at this point, there is no support for standalone apps. Actually, there is support for companion apps, and let's see what is the limit of that. So don't forget, you cannot create standalone apps using Flutter for watchOS. You only can create companion apps for watchOS. When we were developing for Wear OS, there were not limits. You can create standalone apps, companion apps, but now in watchOS, you only can create companion apps. Also, that means you have to send messages between the watch and the device, in this case iOS, every time. They have to send messages with the platform channel, and they have to adapt both projects, because at the end they will be in the same project but in two different targets. That means you have to adapt your project in Xcode. That means you have to create in the app delegate an extra effort to receive the information and to send messages between the watch and the device. So between the mobile and the watch, we'll be sending messages every time. So we have to do this as, okay, we can create companion apps, we can create things like you are seeing. For example, in this device, you are getting the number of many times you press the button, but if you kill the iOS app, the watchOS app will not be self-contained, so it will have to be closed also. So things like that has to be clear from scratch. We have Flutter watchOS connectivity package. So with this dependency, we can create easier our watchOS apps, because the connectivity between the wearable, the watch, and the iPhone will be easier. But we have some issues related with this dependency. For example, if we want to use it during a call or with a call phone, automatically our connection will be closed, for example. So things like that is still on the table, and we have to figure it out how to manage these kind of things.